to kick off the second hour, we'll talk about Donovan Clingan, the Clinger.
Cling Kong, the Black Lobster.
The Black Lobster, Kling Klong. He is finished in Summer League. Did not play yesterday's Blazer game.
No, rightfully so.
I did not watch a second of it. Rightfully so. But he ended on a high. He became, I think, maybe the biggest or one of the biggest storylines from Summer League. So Donovan Clingan, we fell to 7 in the draft. We got all pissed because we won 21 games and we slipped to 7.
Yes.
And I still would say rightfully angry to have such a bad year, end up with the 7th pick. But a bad draft suggests sometimes scouting. And it's just Summer League. So maybe those 6 picks ahead are going to be better. Reed Sheppard was probably the best overall player. Donovan Clingan finishes with an impressive 12 rebounds per game and 4.3 blocks. That was just in his first 3 games. He didn't shoot the ball pretty efficiently, but 14 rebounds, 4 blocks in his final performance against the Hornets. And the Clinger ends up having a great, stellar Summer League.
It was about as good as I could have possibly imagined. Like, if you told me, how are you going to feel coming out of Summer League? I don't know if I could have painted a scenario where I felt more encouraged about what they did with the number 7 overall pick. And this is coming from somebody who is as pessimistic as you could possibly be as a Blazer fan right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not buying anything that they're selling. I'm not picking up anything that they're putting down. This one did it for me. It genuinely did. For a number of different reasons. I thought he got better in every game that he played. You mentioned the shooting numbers weren't great. In his last start, he knocked down a couple of threes, and the field goal percentage was way up from where it had been previously. I believe he set the record for blocks per game in a Summer League run, which is awesome to see. The foul trouble that existed in the first game dissipated as the Summer League went on, so he showed you the ability to learn and to not commit fouls, and I think his numbers would have been exponentially better had he had an NBA point guard out there with him. The number of screens that he set, the number of times that he rolled, that he was open, that nobody found him was a little alarming for the other players on the roster, but it was also encouraging to see he just is a high IQ, high energy defensive center, and it's something that I think we, as Blazer fans, have been dreaming of having for a very long time. Even if the other side of his offensive game doesn't fully develop or doesn't hit its peak ceiling, just having somebody who seems to be smart enough to not commit dumb fouls, having somebody who is understanding of defensive coverages that can block shots or affect shots, I have wanted that for a very long time. It was the dream of what Nurkic could be, and then Nurkic couldn't finish around the rim, and he'd commit 4 dumb fouls a game and cost himself, opportunities to play more or cost his team. This is as jacked up as I've been over a Blazer draft pick in a long time.
Well, you put up a poll question last night at Dirt and Sprague on Twitter, is where you can go find that one. And the poll question reads on Donovan Clingan. Donovan Clingan will be blank as an NBA player. Your options were Depoy, all-star caliber big, decent starter, bench guy. And decent starter won out pretty substantially at 53.5%. Decent starter doesn't even. I'm nitpicking. Decent starter, good starter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
all-star.
Hairs.
All-star is going to be tough in the West. We know that. Wemby, Chet exists, right?
Of course.
And Depoy, you would need some injuries to happen, but
or would you?
Yeah.
With the block.
Wemby might win like 7 straight depoys.
Come on, his legs are going to snap in half. We all know how that's going to go.
Oh, come on. We don't need to say that out loud.
Oh, stop. He's not going to be Sean Bradley. Guys.
Nobody wants that to happen.
He's already a lot stronger than like the stereotypical skinny center.
But the positive for the Clinger is he operates in a space that at least puts him in conversations. All NBA selection type stuff, right? Like, if he can bring some of this, and we do need to pump the brakes just slightly, and remember, this is Summer League.
No, it's not. What are you talking about? Overreact. Bring your takes. Let's go.
His teammate's Bryce McGowan's, so let's, just
cool. So the numbers should have been even better is what you're telling me.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know if it's going to be 3 or 4, but, man, if he's going to play 20 to 25 minutes a night as a backup to DA to start his career, and he's going to get you 2 to 3, that's an encouraging start and something that's going to put him in a lot of defensive, conversations of how people feel about him. He had a brief sit-down with Casey Holdall on the Briefcase podcast, and he basically just keeps reiterating everything that I like about him, and that's just I just want to win. I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I love life. I have a lot of fun. He doesn't watch movies. He's not really into TV. He just likes to listen to music and play basketball.
Pretty good things.
Pretty good things. And you mentioned the Nurkic stuff. He's a high-level IQ Nurkic.
Yes.
So less
Who
like...
can finish around the rim. He doesn't shoot layups like he's 6'2".
Well, there was some struggling with finishing shots at the Summer League. That was probably the negative, is his offensive game. But we didn't get him for offense. They got him specifically for defense. Some people are already questioning, should he have been the number one player because Risa Shea and Sarr had interesting summer leagues themselves.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Portland got him at 7, and now we feel encouraged. And I would argue for people like you, and there's a lot of people like you that don't feel positive about this organization, this gives you something to get excited about to watch them next year.
Now they just need to get on a channel in which I can watch them. That's the next challenge, and we'll see if the Blazers can overcome that hurdle because not many people will watch them if they continue to be on Root Sports.
I quite literally am in a spot where I do a podcast and a radio show talking about them, and I can't watch them. I unsubscribe from my cable company, and so I have a stream, and so if they don't get on a stream...
You figure it out. You got a couple of months till the year starts. I keep hearing it's going to happen. I'm waiting. It's July 22nd. I'd love that news because...
It'd be very encouraging news to hear if they could figure out some sort of deal with a local entity mixed with
streaming whatever
option.
You want to do. I don't care. Either way, I want to be able to watch the games. And it connects to your point, and that is... This is what I want. If you're going to go youth movement, if you're going to go rebuild, if you're going tank off, I want young players to watch that I can at least be hopeful and optimistic about the future while watching you lose 70 games next season. That's the perfect year where Clingan plays 24, 25 minutes off the bench. He gives you good minutes, plays good in the rotation. You're like, all right, we feel like we've landed a center that we can plug into the starting lineup for the next decade. And in the process, we lost 65 games and we have a shot at the number 1 overall pick. That is a successful year for Portland. And we're coming off back-to-back summer leagues. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know Scoot got hurt right out of the gate last year in summer league. If I remember correctly, I believe Shaden did as well. Did he get
in
hurt?
The first 8 minutes.
First 8 minutes of
His
playing.
Shoulder.
And so now you, at least for this year, I remember the last 2 years, there was all that excitement to watch those guys in summer league, and then it's just like kind of a whimper because you don't actually get to watch them play consistent minutes. This was the time when we finally got that opportunity. We got to see him for 4 games, and I felt like he got better in every game that he played in, and the offensive numbers backed that up as well. And so whether he starts down the road, whether he starts this year, whenever you trade Ayton,
he's not going to start until Ayton's traded.
That's a looming issue for you that you now have to figure out, but I don't know what more you could have asked for as a Blazer fan. You could nitpick and say the offensive numbers could have been better or field goal percentage or whatever, but I still think so much of that had to do with who was around him on the floor and who was not giving him looks at easy baskets, and he was kind of forcing some shots every once in a while. You give the Summer League an A+ for Donovan Clingan.
I agree 100% because he showed you what you wanted to see because what you thought about him as a prospect coming out. The thing about him that's different from Scoot, like I know how you feel about Scoot versus how other people feel about Scoot, in the whole ramp up, let him start, play heavy minutes, but you got Ant, so he's not going to start if Ant's on this team, and this might be the roster until a team gets desperate and makes a trade. Yeah. He doesn't need to start. I'm okay with him actually being a backup to start to DA. I don't know what they do with Rob Will. They're probably going to throw both bigs out there at different times. Rob Will, Klinger, Ayton, Rob Will. Like, Dwap's going to be out there shooting threes as a center. Like, they're going to have all kinds of things they're going to throw out against the board. But I'm okay with him starting his career out in the 20 to 25-minute camp, letting him get his legs under him in real NBA action because Summer League is a little deceiving for these guys.
I'm fine with that.
It doesn't have to be a Scoot thing for me. And you don't have to rush to trade Ayton. So, like, you're sitting on that. If Ayton comes out aggressive and has the same start to a season the way he ended the previous season.
Look to move him at the deadline, please.
He'll be a commodity at the deadline. And at that point, then you insert Donovan into the lineup. And so it's just the idea. Swag said this a couple weeks ago. It's just the idea that you can kind of see some of the pieces coming together. Mm-hmm. You just hope that they can finish the puzzle and that these pieces truly gel and kind of figure each other's roles out.
Well, and that's where I do look at – I'm with you on starting right away. I look at the backcourt and just – I want to see these guys grow together. Now, I don't know what Shaden and Scoot are going to turn into, but it seems like that's the backcourt that you're building around, and Anthony Simons is not long here, and whether that's this offseason or next trade deadline or next offseason, you're going to have to make a decision at some point because I don't think he's signing up for 4 more years of tanking, and that might be in your direct future. And so just getting a chance to watch these guys play, learn, develop, and grow together, that's the exciting thing about a rebuild is at least you can get optimistic about the direction that you might be going instead of kind of being stuck in that no man's land. And so I hope we get closer to that.